Hello and welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture, we will learn about the flange beam. So in this, we will see what is the theory of flange beam, and these are the content that we are going to discuss in this lecture. So first we will get introduced with the flange beam, what is flange beam and what is the strength of flange beam. So flange beam is also known as T-beam or L-beam. Now, how we call it T-beam or L-beam, that we will see in the next slide. And we will see the comparison of T-beam and rectangular beam in terms of moment strength and the concept of width of flange and some IS code recommendation for calculating that. And then we will see how do we analyze T-beam by using some formulas. So first we will see what is flange beam. Well, you know that when in the site, when we construct beam, we generally cast beam and slab together. So that construction generally called as monolithic construction. So in monolithic construction, we cast slab and beam together. Now by casting together, slab can have integral action. So as you can see in this figure, if if the beam is subjected to positive bending moment, which means if beam is bending like this, so in that case, if load is coming downward like this, so in that we know that above neutral axis the concrete will be in compression. So as slab is cast integrally with the beam, so some part of slab will also contribute towards the compressive strength of the beam. So that is why we consider this I mean some part of slab integral with the uh, rectangular beam. So as some part is attached with the beam, in this case, we can consider this as the flange part, and below is the web part. So when there is a positive bending moment, then slab will be present in the compression zone and they will become effective in adding to the adding strength significantly to the area of concrete in the compression in beam. So basically, uh, as in case of normal rectangular beam, only this part is taking compression. But if we add some part of slab also, so that slab part will also take compression. Now in this case the compression area increased, and as the compression area increased, compressive strength will also be increased, and to balance that we can increase the area of steel also, and by increasing area of steel and compressive area, ultimately in overall scenario the strength of this beam will be increased. So the moment of strength or moment of resistance of this beam will be higher than the normal rectangular beam. So but this case will be applicable only when compression is in is above the neutral axis. Now if there is a negative bending moment, now in case of negative bending moment, compression is below neutral axis and tension is above neutral axis. So when tension will be above neutral axis, then in that case slab will not be effective for resisting the tensile strength, because we, as per assumption, we consider that concrete is cracked, it cannot take tension, so all the tension will be bear by reinforcement steel only. Now as per configuration, as you can see, if there is a end beam, so in the end beam only slab is attached with only one end, so with this we can call it as L beam. Similarly, if there is an intermediate beam, so slab part is available on both sides, so the shape so obtained is known as T beam. Okay, so as this part is called flange, so that is why these beams are known as flanged beam. So flanged beam can be T beam or L beam. So as I said, if slab is located in tension zone, in case of negative bending moment, they becomes ineffective. Now coming to, I mean, if we want to see the bending shape of T beam, so here you can see uh, the bending of T-beam. So it is effective only when there is positive bending moment. So this kind of bending moment is positive, which is called sagging moment. And if bending of beam is happening like this, so it becomes negative bending moment. So in case of negative bending moment, tension will be above neutral axis, and in that case, it will become ineffective. In that case, this T-beam will simply act as a rectangular beam. So T-beam can be isolated T-beam also. It can be built-in or integrated T-beam also. So sometimes, say, if we take example of isolated beam, T-beam, so you can see this is the bridge girder. So this bridge girder is in the shape of T. So we can treat this bridge girder as a isolated T-beam and analyze by applying the relations of the T-beams. So similarly, we have inverted T-beam also. So till now we have seen that in the T-beam, slab is available on the top, but sometimes for the architectural consideration, we can provide slab on the downward side also. So in that case, this becomes the inverted T-beam. So in case of inverted T-beam, if there is a neutral axis, so compression area will be active only this one. And if compression is there, then this slab will not contribute towards the strength. So that is why T-beams are not effective, but they are provided only for architectural considerations. So inverted T-beam looks like this. So generally we provide this when we are required to have flat ceiling without beam grooves. So as I said, it is recommended for architectural requirements only. Structurally, they are not as much suitable as we have normal T-beam. So such beams are designed as rectangular beam because slab is in the tension zone and does not resist any compression. As you can see, if we draw the neutral axis, so and if we have positive bending moments, so compression will be here only. In this zone, there will be tension, and tension will be bear by reinforcement only. So the concrete below neutral axis is cracked. That is our assumption that we generally consider in our design. Now considering the moment of resisting strength of T-beam. So to understand moment of resistance of T-beam, first we will see how do we calculate moment of resistance of the rectangular beam. So in rectangular beam, we know that when there is a positive bending moment, so if we draw the neutral axis, say this is neutral axis, so only above the neutral axis, the area of concrete, it is active or it is available to take compression force. And below neutral axis, the concrete is cracked and it will not take any tension. This is our theory, this is our assumption. And to take tension, we provide reinforcement steel. Now, as you can see, area is less as compared to the T-beam. So when we provide T-beam, area in the compression will increase. So when the area will increase, then we can provide more reinforcement to balance that area, and ultimately the moment of resistance or load carrying capacity of the beam will increase. So MR will be higher than the rectangular beam. So moment strength of T-beam is higher than the rectangular beam because of the higher compression area. Now, this presence of T-beam and rectangular beam, we have to understand where we can consider our beam behaving as a T-beam and where we can consider our beam behaving as a rectangular beam. So for that, I will show you a diagram with which we will try to understand in what portion our beam will be behaving as a T-beam, and in what portion it will be behaving as a rectangular beam. So this behavior of T-beam and rectangular beam is completely based on the behavior of moment. So if in any region, if there is a positive bending moment, so under that our beam will be behaving as a T-beam or flange beam. And if there is a negative bending moment, so there it will be behaving as a rectangular beam. So if we consider this beam, so here you can see this is the case of beam which is supported at this point, at this point, and at this point, and it is subjected to a uniform UDL. Now because of this UDL, how this beam will bend or how this beam will deflect? So this beam will deflect something like this, something like this. So you can see uh, up to this portion, it is sagging, it is having positive bending moment, and above the support, it is bending. The curvature of beam is opposite to this curvature. So here, so there in this region, it is having negative bending moment. Similarly, up in this to this region, it is again having positive moment. Similarly, this to this region, as there is a support, it is again experiencing negative moment. So our beam will behave as a T-beam only in the region where there will be positive moment. So the bending moment diagram of the whole beam you can see in the here also. So up to this portion, our beam is behaving as a T-beam, and up to this portion, because negative moment is in between this, so here it is behaving as a rectangular beam. Rectangular beam. Similarly, in this region to this region, it is again behaving a T-beam, and this region to this region, it is behaving as a rectangular beam. So that is what we are required to understand, where our beam will behave as a T-beam. So as you can see, if we cut section at AA, our beam is behaving as a T-beam, and part of the slab is contributing towards the strength. Similarly, if we cut section near the support, say section BB, so in this case, so here compression is above neutral axis. Now at section BB, compression is below the neutral axis. So there we will be having beam only as a rectangular beam. But in case of at section AA, it will be having flange also. Now, if we cut section at the point where bending moment is changing its sign, so at that point, what behavior of our beam we can expect? So obviously, to be on the safer side, we will consider at that region our beam as behaving as a rectangular beam. So here, on the other hand, when sections are subjected to positive bending moment, the flange is located in the compression zone and the section is treated as a T section. So that is what I have explained here. Now, we have to understand another very important concept, and that concept is effective width of flange. Now, here we need to understand how much width of flange to be considered in our design considerations. So for that, we need to understand the behavior or the variation of the compressive stress along the width of flange. So generally, when we see the compression along the width of flange, so we see that the compressive stress is varying across the width. So near the web, it is maximum, and away from the web, you can see this value is lesser than this value. So above the web, it is maximum, it is experiencing maximum stress, and away from the web, it is less stressed. So Now, while calculating the strength of this T-beam, if we consider this variation of the compressive stress, then our calculation will be very complicated, and it would be very difficult to take all this stress into account in that scenario. So this is actually the actual stress distribution, but in our calculation, what we do is we try to transform this variation into a regular form to get the actual, to get the effective width of flange. So generally what we do is, as you can see, this area, this area is irregular area. So we convert this area into a rectangular area having width BF, and that BF is known as effective width of flange. So this is the assumed rectangular stress distribution. So this is the actual distribution, but in our calculation we assume that the distribution of the stress is uniform at a width BF. Now this BF will be less than this actual BF. Okay, so now here we need to find out, how do we find out this value of BF? Now the value of this BF is given in our IS code, and that is what we will see now. So as per IS code, if you go to this clause, so there effective width of T beam and L beam is given. So if we have isolated T-beam or integrated T-beam, so for that, the value of BF will be different. So now if we have T-beam, then we can have the value of BF lesser of these two values. BF is L naught by 6 plus BW plus 6 into DF. Now L naught is the length of zero moment. Now what is zero moment? For example, if we have, say, if we have this fixed beam, and if we want to draw the bending moment diagram of this, so bending moment diagram will be something like this. So in that case, in this portion it is negative moment, in this portion it is negative moment, and in this portion it is positive moment. So this length is sometimes called as L naught. So L naught is generally taken as 0.7 times of effective span. So if this whole span is, if this whole span is L effective, so the 0.7 times of L effective is considered as L naught. Now what is BW? BW is the width of web. So this region is called web, and the width is called BW. Then DF is called the thickness of flange. Thickness of flange. And so either we calculate BF with this formula and BF by the actual width of flange. Say, for example, if we have this kind of formation of the beam, so in that case, the actual width of flange will be center to center distance of the span. So for example, if this is the effective span, if this is the effective span, so this width that we have taken center to center of the span, it is considered as actual width of flange. So this BF that we have assumed, this BF will always be less than this actual width of flange. So either we take BF actual width of flange, or by calculating this formula, we will only consider the lesser of these two. And generally, our BF is governed by this first formula. Similarly, if we have isolated T-beam, in that case, we have different formula for BF, and that is L naught by L upon L naught by B plus 4. So here B is the actual width of flange. So here we are expressing B as actual width of flange. And for L beam, if we have L beam, like this, in that case, we will calculate the width of flange as L naught. So here this will be BF. So this will be L naught by 12 plus BW plus 3DF. So you can see this is exactly half of this one. So this is twice of this formula. So because in case of L beam, we have flange available only on one end. So that is why we are taking the half of that. Similarly, if we have isolated L beam, in that case, we have different formula to calculate the effective flange width. We can calculate that. So all the notations here we have explained. So BF is the effective width of flange. L naught is the distance between points of zero moment in the beam, which is the effective span for the simply supported beam, and 0.7 times of the effective span for the continuous beam and frames. So if we have continuous beam, so in that case, the bending moment diagram will be something like this. So in that case, this will be the value of L naught, which is 0.7 times of effective span. So if this is effective span, so in that case, L naught will be 0.7 times of L effective. Similarly, if we have only the simply supported beam, so in that case, L naught will be equals to L effective. Okay, so that is what we can, I mean that is how we can find out the value of L naught. Then BW is the breadth of web, DF is the thickness of flange, and B is the actual width of flange. So that is how we find out effective width as per IS code recommendations. So in the next part, we will continue our discussion. Thank you.